The roar of the crowd was a living thing. A thunderous tide that crashed against the stone walls of the grand tournament arena. Dust, kicked up by 1,000 stomping feet, and the impact of steel, hazed the afternoon sun, turning its fierce rays into a golden mist. In the center of it all stood Aella, her armor dented, her breath coming in ragged gasps, but her eyes burning with an unyielding fire. Across from her, Kael, the formidable mountain of the north, swayed. His legendary axe, usually an extension of his own immovable will, now dragged on the blood-stained earth. He was a titan, a force of nature, but Aella, small and quick, had chipped away at him. Like a relentless stream carving a canyon. With a final, desperate surge, Aella had moved. She was a blur of motion, her blade finding the chink in his defenses. The clang of steel, the grunt of the warrior, and then, silence. Kael, for the first time in his storied career, fell. A wave of disbelief rippled through the stands, quickly followed by an explosion of sound as the crowd, stunned by the impossible, erupted in a deafening cheer. Aella stood over her fallen foe, chest heaving, the realization of her victory slowly dawning. She, Aella, the underdog, the relentless, had conquered the grand tournament of the 5 kingdoms. High in the stands, nestled amongst the nobles, and the common folk alike, Lyraeus watched. His usually calm, scholarly demeanor was momentarily forgotten, replaced by a look of pure, unadulterated awe. He was a man of books and quiet contemplation, his hands more accustomed to quill and parchment than sword and shield. But his gaze, fixed on the triumphant warrior in the arena, held a depth of love that transcended the clamor and the glory. He saw not just the conqueror, but the woman he cherished, and his gentle smile was a silent testament to his pride. A solemn hush fell once more as the herald stepped forward, his voice booming across the arena. By the right of conquest and by the ancient decree, the victor is crowned with the might of the Obsidian Gauntlet. Step forth, O champion, and claim your prize. Aella walked towards the awaiting throne, each step deliberate, her hand reaching out. The velvet cushion holding the gauntlet trembled slightly, as if acknowledging its new mistress. The Obsidian Gauntlet was brought forth, gleaming with an ancient, dark power, and placed on her outstretched palm. It was heavy, a perfect fit, and as she slipped it onto her hand, a jolt, like lightning, surged through her. A low hum resonated, a silent acknowledgement from the ancient artifact. Aella raised her arm, the Obsidian Gauntlet glinting in the afternoon sun, and the crowd roared again, louder than before. For a moment, their cheers almost drowned out the triumphant hum of the gauntlet itself. She was the strongest warrior. Her name would be etched into history. But amidst the roaring applause, as Aella basked in the glow of her achievement, she couldn't help but steal a glance towards the royal box where Lyraeus sat. Their eyes met, and in that instant, the din of the crowd faded away. All that mattered was the silent understanding, the shared pride that bound them together. He, who knew her better than anyone, understood the battles she'd fought, not just in the arena, but in life. Their story, much like the intricate tales she'd read to him on their first date, was a testament to the quiet strength that resided within her. And as the cheers continued to echo around them, Aella and Lyraeus shared a smile, a silent promise of what their future might hold. A future where a scholar and a warrior bound by an extraordinary love would continue to write their story together. Later that evening, as the grand feast was in full swing, the aroma of roasted meats and sweetmeats mingling in the air, Aella found herself seated beside Lyraeus. Despite the boisterous celebration, there was a quiet intimacy between them, a world away from the noise. The weight of the Obsidian Gauntlet, heavy with its ancient power, rested on her lap. "You were magnificent today," Lyraeus said softly, his gaze fixed on her, his tone full of admiration. Aella blushed, the memory of the roaring crowd still fresh in her ears. It was nothing, really, she said, her voice quieter in comparison. Lyraeus reached out, his fingers brushing against hers, a silent understanding passing between them. Nothing, he echoed, his lips curving into a knowing smile. You are too humble, my love. Aella leaned against the back of her chair, meeting his gaze. I couldn't have done it without you, Lyraeus, she admitted, her voice laced with gratitude. He raised an eyebrow, a playful smile dancing on his lips. Oh, did I send those tremors to weaken Kael? Aella laughed, the sound echoing with mirth. No, you didn't, she said, shaking her head fondly. But you believed in me when I doubted myself. That meant more than anything else. Lyraeus squeezed her hand gently, his thumb stroking her knuckles. And you, my love, he said, his voice filled with warmth. You make me believe in magic.